Hey folks, good morning. It is Friday morning, and I didn't post a video this last weekend because it was Easter weekend. As you see, all these trees here, most of these are pine trees. There's a couple dogwoods in there. There's one or two elderberry up in there, which, if you research elderberry, it's a really good tree to have. But in history, there are stories of settlers that were walking through, specifically up north, like in Massachusetts, and they were walking through the woods, and they were finding little square cut out pieces of the bark on like the pine trees and the spruce trees, and they couldn't figure out if this was an animal. Well, come to find out that Native Americans actually did this. They actually cut the outside bark, 2 to 6 inches across by no more than a foot down on one tree, and they would cut the outer bark, and they would take the inner bark and cook that inner bark in a fire. I can't remember the exact name for the fire, but they would dig a pit and make their fire, and then they would have a pit beside that where the fire was at, and the smoke would go through that other hole, and so they would actually have like a smokeless fire. So the inner bark on pine trees and spruce trees is edible. It contains a high amount of caloric intake. So if you find yourself in a situation where you are out in the wilderness and for some ungodly reason you are lost and you have nothing to eat with you, you can cut the outer bark and eat the inner bark. Now, it doesn't have to be cooked. You can eat it raw. Of course, it's going to taste like wood, but it has enough caloric intake in it to allow you to survive for several days just on that. The Native Americans used it to get from one place to another place when in the middle of winter, specifically hard winters, their meat stores had run out, or they were on a hunting trip and they had run out of their meat stores that they had carrying with them, and they used it so that they could continue the hunt until they found either the bear or the deer that they wanted to take back to their families. So I thought you might find that a little bit of an interesting tidbit in the history, and a little bit of information that could save your life in a very bad situation. Like if you go on a ski trip and you get lost out in the wilderness, okay? It could save your life. Always keep a pocket knife on you. And always keep a cigarette lighter on you. Those two items absolutely will save your life in a bad situation. Okay, that's what I have for you today. And yes, I'm still alive. I hope everybody had a happy Easter. I went and I did my biopsy for breast cancer, and that all came back benign. That's all good. So that's it. Have a blessed day.